Hey dads, welcome to Father Friend, a podcast for dads who want to lean in, lead well, and love big. I'm Dr. Mike Ayers. A friend of mine recently shared a story that stopped me in my tracks. His 16-year-old daughter was asked to share her testimony with the youth group. In it, she talked about how in the 5th grade, a boy she liked told her she was ugly. She said his words had a devastating effect on her self-image. She admitted to the group that for years she believed she was ugly and despised herself. Thankfully, in the 8th grade at youth camp, God reminded her of who she was in Christ, so loved that he would send his son to die for her. While this dad was overjoyed to hear about his daughter's healing and growth, he was devastated to realize she had walked through years of pain without him even knowing. This story haunts me because it illustrates a critical truth for dads. When your children are struggling, they almost certainly are telling you, but rarely with words. We need to become tuned in to reading the signals they're sending. Recent CDC data shows that nearly 1 in 5 children ages 3 to 17 have been diagnosed with a mental, emotional, or behavioral health condition. But here's what's even more sobering. Many more are struggling silently, sending signs that we might be missing entirely. So for today, here are 5 signs your child might be struggling that you absolutely cannot afford to ignore. Sign number 1, isolation. Every child is wired differently. You don't need to expect your introvert to become a social butterfly. But when you notice a pattern of withdrawal, when your child starts refusing invitations they would have accepted before, opting out of activities they once enjoyed, or hiding in their room for extended periods, pay attention. Research reveals a strong association between social isolation and anxiety and depression in children and adolescents, with studies showing that social isolation can actually predict depression. For teenagers especially, fear of social rejection can be so intense that they choose isolation as a way to protect themselves from emotional pain. Don't write this off as just a phase. Ask questions, create safe spaces for conversation. Sometimes the child who seems to be choosing solitude is actually crying out for connection, but doesn't know how to ask for it. Sign number 2, obsession with dark themes. Take notice when your child becomes consumed by books, movies, websites, or video games focused on death, violence, or dark themes. I'm not talking about the occasional scary movie or reading a book where someone dies. I'm talking about obsession. Spending hours immersed in violent virtual worlds, horror entertainment, or having a search history that genuinely concerns you. Trust your instincts here. Our children's media consumption often reflects their internal world. When they repeatedly are drawn to dark content, it might be their way of processing difficult emotions that they can't articulate. Have honest conversations about what they're consuming and why it appeals to them. Help them understand how constant exposure to dark themes can impact their mental state. Sign number 3, changes in eating habits. Look for sudden, unexplained changes in eating patterns. Is there an increase in comfort food consumption? Are they picking at their food or skipping meals altogether? Are they suddenly obsessing over calories despite being healthy? Eating disorders commonly emerge during adolescence and young adulthood, often coexisting with depression and anxiety. But eating changes don't always indicate a full-blown eating disorder. They can signal stress, anxiety, depression, or struggles with self-image. No matter what excuse they give, your child needs to eat something at each meal. If you notice concerning patterns, address them directly. Sometimes these changes point to something deeper, like their self-image struggles. Sign number 4, changes in personality. Yes, children change as they grow. Your 13-year-old won't be the same as when they're at 8, and they'll be different again at 18. That's normal development. But when your typically upbeat, outgoing child suddenly becomes sullen and withdrawn, don't dismiss it as teens being teens. When behavioral signs and symptoms last weeks or months and interfere with your child's daily life at home, school, or with friends, it's time to take action. Sudden, dramatic personality shifts can signal depression, anxiety, trauma, or other mental health struggles. The key word here is sudden. Gradual changes over time are usually normal development, but dramatic shifts that seem to come out of nowhere deserve your attention. And sign number 5, changes in sleep patterns. Sleep is often one of the first things affected when children are struggling emotionally. Watch for signs like constant exhaustion, inability to fall asleep, or disrupted sleep when they used to sleep soundly. Sleep disturbances, sleeping too much or too little, frequent nightmares, or appearing sleepy during the day can indicate underlying mental health concerns. Research shows that social isolation and emotional distress can lead to higher cortisol levels and disrupted sleep patterns. If your child's sleep patterns are changing negatively, this could signal anxiety, depression, or other forms of emotional distress. Don't ignore persistent sleep issues. So, if you notice something wrong, what can you do? Recognizing these signs that I just outlined is just the first step. Here's what you need to do. Start with conversation. Create safe spaces where your children feel heard without judgment. Check in regularly with them to help recognize when they need extra support. Let them know you're there and ready to support them however they need. But don't stop there. Talk with your pediatrician about your concerns. Consider counseling. Many therapists now offer online options that make help more accessible than ever. If your child's behavior is unsafe, or if they talk about wanting to hurt themselves or someone else, seek help immediately. Use every tool at your disposal to ensure your child has what they need to thrive. School counselors, family physicians, mental health professionals, trusted family members. Build a support network around your child. Next, protect your son or daughter. It's time to step up as a dad. Internet filters, phone guidelines, filtering friends, curfews and lights out, being more knowledgeable about where they're going and what they're doing. Get unapologetically hawkish with your child. If they complain, remind them that you love them enough to lean in and not just check out. Research consistently shows that loneliness and isolation in adolescence can have lasting effects, but early intervention and connection can make all the difference. Your child's struggles don't define them, but your response to those struggles might define your relationship with them for years to come. Stay alert, stay connected, and don't be afraid to ask for help. The child who seems to be drifting away might actually be desperately hoping someone will notice and throw them a lifeline. They're telling you their story. Make sure you're listening. Hey dads, just a reminder as I close, Monday, September 8th, I dropped my interview with New York Times bestselling author Mark Cameron. Don't miss it. Thanks for listening today. I'm Dr. Mike Ayers. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with other dads. I'd love to hear from you. Email me at mikea@fatherfriend.net with comments, questions, and your biggest takeaways. For more tools, resources, and real talk on fatherhood, visit fatherfriend.net or follow on social media @ThinkingDads. See you next time.